Hi, I want to spend some time talking specifically about the graphing tools in Illustrator, but a couple things to keep in mind. Um, First, you don't have to use Illustrator for this project, and the other platforms such as Piktochart and Canva will have similar, not exactly the same, but similar tools to Illustrator. Second, there's more in the LinkedIn learning that I've linked in the description. And finally, this movie and the one that came before it, I sort of intend as follow along. So this will be our second activity in class the next time we meet. So if you want to kind of give it an overview, and then come back and actually load it up when we get to class and follow along, that would work perfectly well. Let me show you how these tools work. Okay, I've started from scratch here in Illustrator, just a blank document, just set the size. And I want to now take a tool that it's now in the current interface here, sort of hidden. It's in the full list of tools that's down on the bottom, the dot, 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 like more. So if we look in more, we see, and it gives you the choice to actually add these to the regular toolbar to customize, but I'm not going to bother with that. I just want to show you that you have a column, stack column, bar graph, pie chart, line graph, just about 6 different types of chart or graph. Don't worry too much. Just pick, I'm going to pick just the regular columns. You can actually change it later with the same data. So I'm just going to pick that tool. And just like we made a shape in Illustrator, now if I drag it out, I get a basic column chart. And automatically it loads up a data window and I can start to fill in values. I'm just going to do this randomly, but you'll have real data. So it's 4, 7, 12, what have you. And if I hit the check, it updates my graph and I've already made a simple graph. So play with this. And then from here, notice that you now have in properties some specific actions having to do with the graph. So you can always bring up that data if you want to change it. Like you can close this window and then it's still editable. You can bring it back up. But also you can change the graph type. So you can look at that same data as, say, a pie. And there's more of these to explore as well. In fact, I'll come back to that in a second because I just want to talk about styling these as well. So what's nice about this is it's still just a group of shapes in Illustrator. So if I get my direct selection tool, see, I can go in there and this just has a regular fill and stroke. So I can change colors and start to customize and really get custom. In fact, with that direct selection tool, if I wanted, I could sort of pull the pie out and, point something out about this sliver or whatever point I wanted to make. So as always, Illustrator is going to be the most robust tool and it's going to be really powerful, but with power comes great responsibility. There's a lot you can do. In that vein, I think I'll start another one here just to show you how deep this can get. So you have a number of choices. Let's do stack this time. So that starts off looking the same, but if we get some data in here, just rough data, you see that it makes a stack. And each one of these, when you go to the second line of the table here, they're going to do different things. So it's worth taking a look at the possibilities and what's available to you. So because this is stacked, now I'm getting this stacked comparison, and you would have to put in the labels and the legends. I don't know what this means, but I just want to show you what you can do. So if we go back then to graph type, that kind of stack table is going to react differently, right? The regular bar graph is going to set them up, separate them like this. And if I go graph type again, and I look at the pie, it's going to give me 2 separate pies for the 2 separate rows, which sometimes is valuable. And you can, again, continue to make adjustments. Here's where it gets a little bit crazy. So I'll just throw open the doors and see if you want to play with this because I find it a little crazy. So the Recolor button, that's the graph specific coloring tool. And it's kind of out of control. So let me move that around. You just very quickly here can get into a bunch of themes that'll look different and then change on the fly your graph. And so this is a whole tool just set up to change graph colors still in relation to itself and the graph. I find it kind of intimidating. So I just think it's easier to just, it looks kind of nice, but just select and color. You can color like I did this one, color them individually, but it's neat to know that there is that full-on tool just for graph coloring. So that's where I'll leave you to play around with the graph tools in Illustrator. Remember that, yeah, this is the most powerful tool, the hardest to learn, but the most possibilities. We'll then move on to looking at some of the web-based tools that will be more user-friendly, at least out of the box.